Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joey the Veiled Cottage Witch, and this is episode 3 of my Celtic Tree Ogham class. I'm so glad that you're able to join me today. I put all 3 that we've gone through, or up yet. So here is Baith Birch, Louise Rowan, and today we're talking about Fearn Alder. 3 slashes to the right. And this is one of my favorite trees because it grows right next to rivers and it has such a unique leaf. Look at that. It's one of my favorites. It's just a beautiful, beautiful tree. Now, in Brayan law, the alder is one of the 7 peasant trees and likes to grow at the edges of forests, right along the riverbank. And this is why it is a perfect material for making bridges and posts for trackways over boggy land. And it reclaims the land from water, taking over and moving forward confidently, creating human-made environments out of the wilderness. It does the same thing energetically and magically, being especially useful for breaking new ground. So Fearn is Old Irish for the alder. And the name alder may come from the Old German Klauer, which means reddish. So you can see I've done my own ogham in red here, because when cut, the white wood inside turns red, and I'm going to show you this right here. And it's considered the color of sacredness in the Celtic tradition. It's the color of fire, the sun, and blood, the color of life. And it's therefore thought that when cut, the alder bleeds. And that's what it looks like. It looks like it's bleeding. And it was for this reason that alder was the favored wood for making shields for Celtic warriors. The alder spirit just magically bled in their stead, thus granting magical protection as a kind of spiritual exchange, if you will. In Irish mythology, these shields were often given names and believed to have magical powers of their own right. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, when I read that, I thought, how cool. It's kind of like when a crystal breaks while it's on you. It takes the hit for you. Well, that's what these shields would do that were made of alder, because when they bled for you instead of you bleeding. Isn't that awesome? Now, in Irish myth, the first man was born from an alder tree, just like Rowan birthed the first woman, as you remember from episode 2. Once again, referring to this link between the alder and the mortal life. Now, in Celtic culture, the alder was used to make palisades, to keep prisoners confined, and to protect from invasion. And often these alder walls were topped with the heads of slain enemies. Yeah, fierceness and extraordinary defensive ability are aspects of the alder, both of which aid in moving boldly forward spiritually as well as physically, while maintaining the utmost protection. The altar holds a position as a tree of prophecy and sacrifice, intimately connected with warriorhood. This is practical mysticism, the spiritual lessons of life and death, of mortality, instructed by the other world and yet applied here in the mortal realm. The greatest armor of the warrior is accumulated knowledge of skill. Now, today, this would embody our first responders, right? So now the alder tree is always associated with the Celtic god Bran the Blessed, whose name means raven, the bird most associated with prophecy and fate. His sister Bronwyn, who means white raven, has a son with the king of Ireland, Matholwch, who is called Fearn Brythonic for Alder. The king mistreats Bronwyn, and she is rescued by Bron and his men invading Ireland. The invasion is catastrophic, but successful. None but 7 men return, and Bran is fatally wounded. He instructs his men to decapitate him, and his severed head continues to utter prophecy and song long after his death. Can you imagine? Yeah, they say that this happened. Now, Bron and his men remain in the other world in this way, entertained by the singing head, before returning to Britain, where they mount his head at Tower Hill in London as a protector of the land, where it looked out towards France before being removed by King Arthur. Bronze ravens are still kept at the Tower of London to this day, and a prophecy tells that the land will fail if they leave. Isn't that an awesome story? That's one of my favorite stories to tell of Bran the Blessed. Bron's singing head is reminiscent of another from Greek mythology, that of Orpheus the Bard, who is also associated with the alder. Orpheus is associated with the underworld, which he traveled into in an attempt to win back his wife, Eurydice, who had died of a snake bite. Eventually, Orpheus was killed by the Maenads, worshippers of the god Dionysus, but his severed head continued to sing and prophesy. Isn't that cool that we both have the Celtic and the Greek mythology of a severed head still singing prophecy? How cool is that? It was placed in a cave by the Muses until Apollo ordered it to be silent. Like Bran, Orpheus makes divine utterances from the underworld to the world above, representing a stream of energy or vivification from source into manifestation. Alder is considered one of the 9 sacred woods in modern witchcraft, and it is used to build need fires at each of the 8 seasonal festivals. Smoke from these fires, made of the other 8 woods as well, can be used for divination, as can the movement of the flames. However, the alder has an older association with divination, drawn from the movement of the top branches of the tree in the wind and the sound of its rustling leaves, which, like the head of Bran, will utter prophecy for those with the ability to hear it. In finding silence and listening to the wind in the trees, we can hear whispered wisdom and good advice, especially when we are calm and centered and therefore able to perceive their communication. Alder's position by the river is yet another link to its association with divination, as ancient Druids would seek prophecy by sleeping next to rivers in order to hear the words or the spirits in their whispering during the quiet of the night. Alder can also be seen magically as a tree of confident progress. It is a wise advisor that assists in bravely facing obstacles or issues that need attention. It aids in developing stability and solidity, which come from the firm foundation that Alder creates. It converts psychic land from bog and marsh and primordial chaos, allowing us to move from emotional storms and tough environments into clarity and safe, steady ground. So that is the lore of Alder. Isn't it fascinating? There's so much we can learn from the lore. Now on to magical uses and practical ones. Now, Alder was used to build Celtic lake houses, especially those found in Scotland, Orkney, and Ireland. These houses were known as crunaghs, and they required long-lasting timbers buried deep underwater. It was also used to build bridges and trackways over marshy ground. The alder infuses these structures with its defensive energy as it is highly resistant to water damage. We have another clue to alder's nature as being able to defend and ensure safety on all levels, above and below the surface of reality. Very useful for those on spiritual or magical journeys. Alder is used shamanically in making spirit shields, which keep the shaman's journey clear and on track, allowing effective progression. As a wood for shield making, alder represents the balance that must be maintained by any warrior, when to use the sword and when to use the shield. Alder teaches wisdom and the art of timely defense. To defend oneself or one's territory is about effective protection and preservation, another good word when we think of the alder. Alder is about empowerment and assertiveness. To not defend ourselves when our territory or boundaries are invaded is to give away our power. Thus, we are defeated before we even begin. Alder is particularly effective when starting new projects or when defending yourself becomes necessary. It also helps overcome periods of inaction, weakness, lack of direction, and victimhood, and when you feel stuck in a rut. Alder will lend strength, endurance, especially to cope with sorrow or grief, and help you find a way forward you had not anticipated before. Seeking inspiration or divination beneath alder trees is particularly effective. Traditionally held to be under the rulership of Venus, it also has uses in becoming eloquent, charming, and in supporting stable relationships. An alder leaf placed against the heart will help shield you from emotional harm, and it will attract loving relationships. It can be used magically for protection and creating emotional walls, particularly for situations where there are bad feelings and a danger of being emotionally abused or damaged. It can help reinforce personal and emotional autonomy in times when you feel overwhelmed or dominated by others. Because of its emotional resonances, this ogham can be used to aid in stabilizing emotional imbalances and clearing emotional pain. Now, its linked concepts to keep in mind are physical and emotional protection, walls, containment, warriors or the military, hunters and the hunt, preparation and being prepared. Now on to magical correspondences. The elements are air, fire, and water. The deities are Bran the Blessed, of course, the Cailleach, Freya, Manannan, Minerva, Pan, and Venus. The colors are crimson and dark shades of red. Totems are ravens, of course, and crows. kingfishers, dragons, the red fox, rams, stallion, the hawk, and seagulls. The calendar is December 27th to January 23rd, the third lunation, or the whole month of January. Its related species are anything in the birch family. So it's very closely related to the birch. Now on to healing properties. Alder has anti-inflammatory properties and is great for diseases such as rheumatism. It can also be used for any kind of heart problems. Alder leaves can be placed on the soles of the feet or in shoes to ease weary, aching feet. Beds of alder leaves can be used to made to ease aches and pains. A modern way this can be used would be to stuff a pillow or cushion with fresh leaves. Rubbing fresh leaves on the skin can also make a good insect repellent. A decoction of alder bark is excellent for burns and inflammations and can be used as a gargle for sore throats. The inner bark may be boiled to make a wound wash, and it may once have been drunk to help heal internal injuries. Now, as a vibrational essence, alder lends a steadying influence and helps to ground and process overly strong emotions. It helps in moving forward and encourages strength and endurance and the ability to clear the way ahead. So it's a great Ogham to use to open roads. All right, on to divination. So if we were to draw this Ogham, if we were to draw it upright, it encourages you to move ahead with confidence and courage. It advises you to get grounded and practical, ensuring you own safety in physical realms, but also aiding in psychic protection, where a grounded and present attitude ensures you remain self-possessed and empowered. It is an excellent ally in aiding and teaching you to defend yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. As it is associated with warriorhood, it encourages you to seek honorable conduct and the right use of power, in addition to discrimination and discernment, when to use the shield and when to use the sword forged in its slow burning flame. It suggests the need to be prepared to defend oneself or others and the making of preparations for difficulties lest blood be shed. It also implies emotional shelter and protection. The warrior protects what is loved and the container protects what is held within. It emphasizes the need to be cautious emotionally or to guard against emotional abuses or manipulation. When surrounded by positive Oghams, it can suggest that you are protected emotionally or that you are insulated against harm. It implies shelter and a sheltered space where you are emotionally safe. Fearn advises us to look ahead and be prepared for defense when necessary. It signifies protection from illness, particularly those that are emotionally based or exacerbated by emotional stress and intensity. Now, if you were to draw it upside down with the roots up this way, it could mean that you are ignoring good advice or that you're not listening to your intuition, you're not prepared, or not being protected or shielded from danger. So, that was Fearn Alder. Please leave any questions that you have about this tree down below in the comments. If I can't answer it, I will find that answer for you. Please give this video a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, hit that bell so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Next will be Willow. I think I'm saying that right. Yes, Willow. So we're almost done with the first branch. So that's exciting. We just have 2 more to go for the branch of beginnings. So then we head on to the next branch. So please visit my website at theveiledcottagewitch.com. You can book a reading, book a class, book a service, book upcoming workshops. You can shop my holistic healing shop and my ritual and spell aids. Please remember to, at checkout, to punch in the code word, all caps, veiled, to get your free shipping. That is my gift from me to you just for watching this video. If you'd like to financially support this channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee. All the details are down below, or you could scan this QR code right here, but absolutely no pressure. Just live your best life and live for yourself. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.